Now, it's only fair for me to start things off here by saying this is actually part 2 out of 4. We very recently looked at the Transformers Armada Optimus Prime, and that was not great. Not great. But he is associated with a couple of other offerings and a couple of other characters. Enter this guy. It is the Transformers Armada Overload. Some might say Overload and Rollout. However you want to name this trailer and this Minicon, they're going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, baby, and while you're at it, that's right, man, hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, the Autobot family. Have a look for me everywhere across social media. You can check us out on Patreon, and while you're at it, man, why not see what we offer from Teespring? And this is Overload and Rollout. I prefer to think of the whole thing as Overload. In essence, what you have here is a headmaster. And depending on the fiction and how you look at it, it functions like a North American headmaster where the body is Overload and the Minicon that forms the head is Rollout. Or you can choose to look at it more like a traditional Japanese headmaster where the head, or in this case the Minicon, is Overload and the entire body is just a lifeless transtector. Transtector. Man, it's a hard word to say. However you want to do it, this is often associated as Ultra Magnus, and it was in fact even repainted as Ultra Magnus. I don't particularly see that, but he is a very beefy, hefty, interesting bot to take a look at, with some very interesting things going on, not the least of which is that the Minicon actually apparently has 4 modes. Now, I will point this out, I'm going to take him out of it. At one point going through here, I am going to say that I don't know what these hinges right here are for. I do know what they're for. I have since found out. So kind of don't go crazy on me when I talk about not knowing what this is for. We're not going to cover it though in this review. We'll cover it coming up another time. But otherwise, we're going to see this guy in all 4 modes. We're going to see this guy in his technically 2 modes, and we're going to have a good time with even one sound effect that I can get behind. It's a whole lot to unravel here, so let's head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Okay, so in part 1 of this series, we looked at Armada Optimus Prime, and I said, look, objectively speaking, he's probably about a 6. Like, you know, he has a functional transformation. He mostly looks the part. And that's about it, because the articulation's trash. Subjectively, this is the worst thing I've ever in my life in this franchise held. It's I've had KOs that have felt better. I give it subjectively a -90, the worst score I've ever given, even beating Universe Galvatron. I don't like this at all. But like I said, that's subjective. Objectively, he's about a 6. I still think that anyone who wants a version of this Optimus Prime, do themselves a favor, get the Fans Hobby version. It's infinitely, infinitely better than this. But that's not the whole story, because there's actually other parts that can go attached to this guy. Maybe they'll improve him. Who knows? The first of which is going to be, and you see him over there, Overload. And this time around, we're going to focus just on Overload. We're not going to look at how he combines with Optimus here. We'll look at that later. We're not even going to look at the vehicle modes next to each other right now. We'll look at all of that later. This is just going to be how good is Overload on his own. Now, Overload is a very kind of interesting character. First thing to note is that sometimes the whole thing here is non-sentient, and this is referred to as Overload, the little Minicon. In other continuities, the whole back of the truck here is sentient as Overload, and the little Minicon is Rollout. I guess it depends on which one you follow, I suppose. I personally tend to think of the whole thing as Overload, but you know what do I know, man? that's what I default to, and that's what I'm going to refer to in here. Like I said, this can become cannons for Optimus. That's how we're going to leave it here. We're not actually going to attach it to Optimus, but we're going to clue things off in cannon mode here today. But we're going to begin with the Minicon Burst. And this is mode 1. Apparently he has 4 modes. I have really sort of struggled with the transformations for this guy, to be honest with you. Even after looking at the instructions and pictures and everything else, I don't find this guy intuitive at all. And not just the little guy, like the big body, I don't find it intuitive. If I mess something up, I apologize. We're going to do the best we can. But he has 4 modes. This is mode 1, where he rolls just fine, I guess. Mode 2, you come here and flip out, and come here, and I might as well do this now, flip it out, and he's, when combined with Optimus, he becomes like a big old target master, which I think is kind of cool. Obviously, Optimus holds it by this peg down there. Then we have his robot mode, and see if I can recall how this goes. Now, you have to unpeg, and I just pop that leg off and that leg off. That's excellent. You bring down this hinge here. The legs can either, they do like to pop off. They can either stay on like this, or you can deliberately pop them off if you would prefer to turn them around to have the little feet forward. So it's up to you. I'm going to opt to just leave them as they were in there. I'm going to get these on and we'll finish the rest of this transformation, I guess. Oh, wrong side, wrong side. My mistake. So you can do it that way, or of course you can turn them around to have the little, you know, like the little feet out. Depends on which way you want it. Then we can bring these forward, bring them down. This can flip down on the back, and then we open out. We should be able to open out the front here. There. And you can bring up the little head. And this is either Overload or Rollout in his little tubby robot mode. It's sort of like an Ironhide-ish type of vibe here. And you bring these in, by the way, and they do peg in. The arms can go all the way around. I guess they can come out to the side if you unpeg it from that peg. The legs, I don't find the legs can move. Like, I find if I try to do anything with the legs at all, then I just end up popping them out, and this isn't mine, and I'd really rather not, like, break it off or something. I don't know why the legs were done that way. I don't know. Like, he has good heft and size for a Minicon. I mean, if you compare him to Optimus Prime's little buddy Sparkplug here, I mean, he's significantly bigger than Sparkplug. So, I like the mass of him. The transformation is okay. I wish those legs didn't pop out as easily. I'm going to say that for looks, I don't know. I'll say it's a 9. It seems pretty accurate to me for what I recall. In terms of the transformation, some clever things, but I don't like the way the legs are done. I'm going to say it's about a 4. I wish the legs were better. I don't like them popping out, and the way the little pegs are, I'm not confident that they're not going to break off in time. I know that this is old, but like, I wouldn't transform it a lot for that. Great little target master, that's cool. Great here, he even becomes a 4th mode, and that's a headmaster. We'll do that now in just a moment. Overall, I guess it's about a 5. You know, the articulation is a 2. You know, it's maybe not a 5, it's probably a 4. It has good bulk, but it could function better. The last mode, well, we come here again to the front and open it off, and you can put this head in, and then you can pick out this entire huge head. Then you can bring, bring that up and bring this back around and bring this back around. and they will go back in underneath, and then you bring these up as if you're going to truck, and now boom, he is in essence, headmaster that will go into the bigger body later on. I think this is cool. It's versatile. You know what, I said the transformation wasn't that great, but he does 4 things for Minicon. I take it back. The transformation is more like a 6. It's versatile. It's just I still don't like those legs, and I don't trust their longevity. I don't know. I'm really torn by this, man. Really torn. But this is basically him now ready to slot into the bigger body. Speaking of the bigger body, it's actually fairly huge. And I wanted to point this out right away. This piece here can come down, and this can slot up into Optimus, and we get a double trailer. We'll see that later on, because like I said, I'm not doing that here. This has often been compared to Ultra Magnus. I don't see it myself, but a lot of people do. And in fact, so much so that this was actually repainted later on as Ultra Magnus. As well, in Energon, he was released with Optimus and Sparkplug, and of course Overload and Rollout, as like this big multi-pack that could combine together, totally repainted and totally different. And it was recolored yet again in Universe 2003 as Sentinel Maximus. So it's actually a mold that's gotten a lot of reuses, which sort of baffles me because it's only, man, like it looks good, but its functionality is not great, especially considering it's come out in the 21st century. So we begin by picking these pieces up, and we split the legs and we bring them to the side and up, and then turn them the rest of the way around, and you flip down the feet. So the trick is to split the legs, turn the gold pieces here to the side, straighten the legs up, and then turn the gold pieces around to the front, which kind of gives us the ability now to stand up. And I'll give credit where credit is due. Like, the dude can stand up and he has a lot of weight out front. Now, back here, I pulled out a piece from down here. It's really what's used to attach him to Optimus, but stock photos seem to show this out all the time. It does not need to come out for this mode, but I did it anyway because it needs to come out later. Anyway, we can take these and split them, and they come all the way around. And we can actually turn these around and then rotate it down. Turn this around, rotate it down. So what you have is the tire pieces out front. You come to the side here and you bring that up and you push this up. Bring that up, push this up. And then we have a slot in the center here. Now, either you believe that this is Overload, and this is it, this is Overload. He has no head, no anything, he's just arms and legs, and that he combines with Rollout here, which is fine. I mean, we've seen it before with Headmasters and G1 all the time. Or you believe that this is Overload, and this, as is the case often with Headmasters, is basically a transtector. So it's up to you which one you prefer, I guess. So we're going to, either way, take that and put it in. When you put it in, you may have noticed, we have sound effect of the G1 transformation, which is weird because I don't think that was the sound effect used in Armada. So why it was put in here, I don't know, but it's a nice little throwback. I'm not a lights and sound guy, but I always feel good when I hear the transformation sound. Nevertheless, with the transformation complete, here we have Overload in his robot mode. Now, I don't know about you, I look at this and I don't see Ultra Magnus. I guess some people say, hey, you have the little truck here on the front, the head is Ultra Magnus-y, and these little pylons, I suppose. I do see a cool looking robot, however. In terms of animation accuracy, this is pretty close. I'm going to give it a solid 9.5. You know what? No, I'm going to give it a 10. I think it's animation accurate. There, boom, I just said a 10. In terms of the transformation, I struggle over certain aspects of it, but I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't have its kind of charm and big bulky parts as well. Plus, revisiting the headmaster gimmick here is alright. I'm going to say that's probably an 8. Even though we're not done the transformation yet because we still have to do the shoulder cannons. And that's where things get a little confusing for me. Whatever. Whatever, man. Then we get to the articulation, man. Let's remember, that the Beast Wars and Beast Machines lines came before this, that Robots in Disguise 2001 came before this, and they had magnificent offerings. So what do we have here for articulation? The head, I guess it can look down into his chest, but you're probably gonna make the sound effects go off. The arms here, they can turn at the bicep, but there's no outward movement. Ratchets all the way around, no elbow, no wrist. The legs, bring that up, can't go out to the side. They can go forward that far, cannot go back really at all. There's a thigh swivel, no knee. Weirdest articulation. Like a bicep swivel, no elbow. Thigh swivel, no knee. Nothing at the wrist. And certainly, I guess, his feet can tilt forward and back, but he has big feet that he can stand on well anyway, so I don't know if that really helps anything. Maybe you could put him in a bit of a walking pose. He's very static, and he feels very static. It feels very G1. It was way behind for the time. Honestly, I'm going to say -50 for the articulation. It's not good enough for the time it came out at all. It's just not. He looks amazing. He doesn't function great, but I think that a big part of that has to do with the fact that he is supposed to function as something that connects to Optimus. Here's the thing. I like this concept. I like the look of the guy. You give him elbows, you give him knees. This would be stellar. Here's an example like Demolisher that an update would probably go over really, really well. Okay, so now we got to try and figure out how to put this guy in his shoulder cannon mode. So I'm gonna take this out, and I'm just going to push that down, push that up, and once again we're gonna come over here and maybe I can flip these out. Maybe I can't. I can't get it now, but this goes back in its target master mode for later on. And that leaves us with this guy that we have to put in his shoulder mode now. Here's the thing. I have looked at everything I can to basically figure this out, and I have struggled to understand how this works the entire time. I don't get really what's done with this guy, so I may do this wrong. We'll see. The leg pieces here, here's what I can tell you. That slides off, and that slides right off. I can also tell you that this comes down over the hand, this comes down over the hand. And I'm just going to get these up for now. This here, so I guess like this, is the orientation that we need to be in, because this is how it attaches. So these should turn around, from my understanding, and come up like this. Should turn around, and from my understanding, come up like that. Which is fine, that's great. Then my understanding is this comes down on the side, and this comes down on the side. And again, if I'm wrong about this, I apologize. I thought there was, I have no idea why this hinges here. This is the part I can't figure out. I don't know why this hinges here or why it opens. I see no reason for it to open, which is why I wonder if I'm doing something wrong. This is kind of it, except we do have to deal with the feet sections. And for the feet sections, like this, it's going to come on when you have it done and go in like that. How do we do the foot section so it looks like this? I'm just going to show that, and then we're going to put it in right there. So the foot section is the crux of the cannon. We come here and we open this up and flip the foot in, close this up, and boom, there you go. Using this section here, this is how we attach it to the cannon like we did with the other one. Now, I want to point this out before anybody else kind of mentions it. These pieces here that I said, I don't know what that's there for. Some people have told me that you open them out and this whole cannon section rests on top of it, and then you reorient at the bicep to make it look like this. And that's fine. Perhaps that's true. However, every single solitary stock image that I have seen has the cannons lower than these leg pieces down here. So that's why I'm skeptical if that's supposed to be out. Maybe it's supposed to be more like this. The idea is, and this is my defense to people when this whole topic comes up. The idea is, from my understanding, that this section slides down in the back of Optimus, kind of behind his head in the space. We'll see it later. And then there's a peg here and a peg here, and they're supposed to, or maybe it's the peg hole back right here and the peg hole up right here. Either way, there's like peg areas here. Apparently that's supposed to peg onto the arms of Optimus Prime. All of that being said, everything being equal, here we have everything to do with the big bad Overload. I wish I could say that he's fantastic. Overall, he's chunky, he's hefty, he's solid, but the functionality's not great. If you don't care about functionality and you just want the looks, man, he looks great on a shelf. I would give him maybe an 8, a 9 for that. He looks imposing. If you want to try and get a dynamic pose at all with him, not going to happen. Overall, he's probably middle of the road, 5, maybe. And at the end of the day, baby, here we are once again. Look, I like the look of this. I like the chunkiness. It's very Cybertronian and weird, admittedly. The transformation is... You have to do it a few times to get used to it. Like, I said there that without the instructions I find it a little cumbersome, at least to get to the double barrel cannons. And I always manage to find my way there, because once I flip out this piece, is it this piece? I don't know. Once I flip out the piece that is going to be used to slot into Optimus later on, I can kind of orient myself from there because I know how it's supposed to look. It's odd. It's definitely got connecting to Optimus as its primary function. The fact that it can become its own robot, the fact that it has a vehicle mode, it's really kind of a secondary, and it feels like it's an afterthought. I wish that in robot mode the articulation was better. It should have had an elbow. It should have had knees. It doesn't, and it really hinders it because all it can do is stand at attention, and anything else looks so awkward and unnatural. There's so much potential here for something good, and because of the lackluster design for poorly done articulation, it really, really hurts this guy in the end. Does he have his charm? Yes. Is he overall good? Not really. Let me know what you think about this guy. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being harsh on him. Maybe you love him. Maybe articulation doesn't matter as much to you as it does to me. You know, either way you cut it. I appreciate hearing from you guys, and I appreciate you coming by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button, baby. Stick around, have some fun with us. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there's a donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer from Teespring. Don't forget, somehow, some way, each and every single day, you do make a difference. And I look forward, man, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams every Thursday night, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here, because we got part 3 coming up, when we have another visit inside the videos.